This video is sponsored by the Sexy Brutale.
In the world of Diablo, angels and demons fight for control in the eternal conflict.
The trap at last is sprung.
Let's just say the world isn't just full of sunshine and rainbows.
Stay a while and listen.
I'm Jason with Curse, here to bring you some of the most disturbing lore the Diablo franchise has to offer.
The Nephilim will stop you. No one can stop death.
Leoric once lived in Kyrgyzstan and was a devout follower of the Zakarum faith. Unaware that the Zakarum church had become corrupted by Mephisto, he agreed to their task of settling in a new land. This land, Tristram, became his seat of power and conveniently was also the resting place of the Lord of Terror, Diablo. His subjects respected him for a time, citing him as just and fair with purity of heart and deed. This was not to last, as he soon fell under the influence of Diablo. It was written in his journals that he was aware of some malevolent being attempting to influence him. But fight him, Leoric could not. Slowly, he became more and more deranged, issuing orders and executions on anyone who questioned him. Lazarus, who was his main advisor and also corrupted by Diablo, convinced Leoric of an imminent invasion by the kingdom of Westmarch. While Westmarch had no such intention, they unquestionably crushed the knights sent against them. A short time afterwards, Leoric's corruption and broken mind led him to execute his own wife by guillotine. Diablo, unable to ever fully control Leoric as he had planned, picked his youngest son Albrecht to possess, who was far easier. And in the end, Leoric, having been deemed unstable and a threat to his own kingdom, was slain by his own knights, and with his dying breath he cursed them, causing them to become the Hell Knights. He was buried as a king in his full armor, but Diablo was not done with him yet. Leoric found himself unable to embrace death as he was resurrected by Diablo into the fearsome Skeleton King, doomed to serve for all eternity. After Diablo had taken control of Albrecht, the devious Lazarus began to convince the townsfolk of Tristram that their prince had been taken into the dungeons below the cathedral. Men valiantly took up arms to try and restore some sense of stability to the kingdom. Inside, however, they found a very large, very angry butcher demon who desired nothing more than the pain and suffering.
Fresh meat.
The butcher then proceeded to paint the walls with their entrails, using his cleaver as a paintbrush. While some managed to escape the butcher's wrath, any wound that was inflicted became infested and festered with disease. The sickness was so potent that the town's healer found it nearly impossible to treat. The demon remained until Leoric's eldest son Aidan returned from war and came looking for his brother Albrecht.
Please, listen to me. The Archbishop Lazarus. He led us down here to find the lost prince. The bastard led us into a trap. Now everyone is dead, killed by a demon he called the Butcher. Avenge us! Find this butcher and slay him, so that our souls may finally rest.
Aidan had been warned of the dangers that lay within the cathedral from a dying man just outside the entrance, but Aidan would not be dissuaded. As the group approached the lair of the butcher, they heard the screams of his victims and saw blood pouring from the door. Inside, the room had been filled with bloody corpses impaled upon the walls, stained with blood and body parts scattered on the floor. Lazarus had taken several groups down there after all, and other groups, driven by glory and gold, found their horrific end with the butcher's cleaver. Aidan and party did manage to eventually defeat the butcher after considerable effort. However, he seemed too useful to be allowed to simply rot. He was resurrected later by the Coven in an effort to stop the Nephilim from reaching Tyrael, but again, despite his terrifying visage and strength, proved no match for them and was slain once again. The eldest son of Leoric had been sent off to war with Westmarch at the height of his father's corruption. When he returned, the kingdom was in shambles and his family was either dead or missing. Aidan vowed to see his brother return and to banish the demons who plagued the countryside. His quest took him into the depths of the Tristram Cathedral, where he fought his way past the demons of the burning hells, including the Butcher, but also the reanimated corpse of his father, now the Skeleton King. Continuing down, Aiden and his party find Lazarus and the child he had sacrificed on a bloody stone altar, defeating him and eventually confronting Diablo. The demon forced Aiden to relive his worst nightmares and greatest failures. However, after Aiden defeated Diablo at last, it was revealed that Diablo had used his own brother Albrecht as his host. Aiden also realized that he must contain Diablo's essence to prevent him from destroying what was left of his kingdom. He then plunged the soul stone containing Diablo into his own head, cursing him to a life of wandering. Marius is met when he seeks shelter in the rogue monastery from the horrifying demons that walk the earth after Diablo takes control of Aiden. Unfortunately for poor Marius, the very source of the evil came to the monastery in the form of the Dark Wanderer. Once inside, the Wanderer becomes unstable, and demons begin to erupt from every crevice, with many appearing from otherwise normal torches and flames. The demons overwhelm the shelter and kill everyone except for Marius and the Wanderer. They then travel east, over the mountains, as Diablo seeks his brother's tomb. Against his better judgment, Marius enters the tomb alongside Diablo, where they confront the archangel Tyrael, who stands in front of the crazed body of Tal Rasha, which has Baal's soul stone embedded in his ribcage. The tortured soul pleads with Marius to release him, and in doing so, Marius releases Baal into the world once more. Tyrael then instructed Marius to descend into the depths of hell to destroy Baal's soul stone once and for all. After some time, Marius reached the designated Temple of Light and descended only to find the Primevals opening the portal. He witnessed the Wanderer's final transformation into Diablo, and then could not bring himself to go through the portal. In failure, he was arrested in Westmarch and confined to an asylum where he began to carve his experiences into the floor of his cell with his own fingernails. His mind had been broken, and his body had also aged with exposure to Baal's soulstone. One day, a cloaked visitor arrived at his cell, Tyrael. After relating his account to the angel, he was assured everything would be fine, so long as he handed over the soulstone. Marius obliged, only to discover that it was not Tyrael that had visited, but Baal. Baal then killed Marius and set the asylum ablaze. Once an advisor to the Angiras Council, Inarius held the respect of his peers for his successes on the battlefield. Over time, he became tired of the eternal conflict and sought a way to escape it. This led him to find Lilith, daughter of Mephisto. The demonic forces had captured him in battle, but upon hearing his desires, Lilith freed him. They would eventually fall in love, but also create the world away from the conflict known as Sanctuary. Their offspring, the Nephilim, would inherit this new world, but were deemed too powerful as they were stronger than either demons or angels. After a great deal of conflict surrounding Sanctuary and the betrayal of Lilith, Inarius was captured. The high heavens and burning hells convened to decide the fate of Sanctuary, the Nephilim, and Inarius. In the end, Inarius was given to Mephisto, who bound him with tremendous chains. Inarius' wings were slowly torn, and large barbed hooks were used to stretch out his skin. It is said Inarius is now trapped in hell, within a chamber of mirrors, his eyelids torn from his face, doomed to gaze upon his twisted form for eternity. If you're interested in content like this, keep an eye out for more, and be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out DiabloFans.com for other Diablo-related information. This is Jason with Curse saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.
Brought to you by the Sexy Brutale, a never-ending masked ball featuring intrigue, murder, and quite possibly the occult.